waking up with us this morning, and we have a great presentation scheduled for all of you with our digital marketing and lots of great questions. For those of you that are just joining, I did put out, information that the whole program will be recorded and available on our YouTube channel, so we can share this over and over again with folks that are looking for direction and information about how to do digital marketing in the right way. So first of all, I want to welcome our board members that are with us this morning. We have Dr. Debbie Burdick, Superintendent of Cave Creek Unified School District. Thank you, Dr. Debbie. We have Eric Toohey with Times Media Group. Welcome, Eric. And we have Sandy Hess with Caldwell Banker. Thank you, Sandy. And she's also our Zoom host. And with our ambassadors this morning, we have Jen Miles with Tech for Life. Thank you, Jen. She's our co-chair of our committee. And we have also Eric Toohey serving on our ambassador committee, and John McCombs with AZ Perfect Comfort. So thanks, you guys, for being here. And so we will get right into, I'm going to reverse the order a little bit before we get into our panelists, because I want to create as much time for them as possible. So I want to get into events and what's happening in the coming months for our chamber and community. So we will be thankfully restarting our ribbon cuttings, and we start with Studio Kinetics on Tuesday, September 29th, so next Tuesday at 12 p.m. With social distancing, we are requiring people to sign up because there will be a limited amount of capacity. So Tuesday the 29th is full for reservations, but we will be live streaming on Facebook all of these events. So we hope that everyone would join us at that 12 p.m. time frame to celebrate and welcome our new businesses. On Thursday, October 15th, we have a ribbon cutting for Far Animal Rescue, and they're in Carefree, right on Tom Darlington. I think their address says Hoe Road, but they're right next to where the old wine store and cigar shop used to be. So they've moved from Pima to, well, I guess actually opened a second location. So again, we want to welcome them to our community. We will be starting Power Hour. That will return Wednesday, October 7th. And for those of you that are new, Power Hour was created lots of years ago, and it's taken on a couple of different personas, if you want. So it stands for Powerful Opportunities with Empowering Results. When we first began, Power Hour was a time we come together and have lunch and learn about something. Then it morphed into a happy hour occasion where we poured money, cash, I guess, into our restaurants during the summer months when they so needed it. And now, because of our new world we're living in and kind of odd times, Power Hour now is going to be a time in small groups that we can get together. Once again, only a few people can be in the chamber office. We'll have a topic, a roundtable discussion, but also Zoom available so that all can participate, but just a handful in person. So that's coming up. And then many of you have asked about Celebration of Excellence and the Chamber Choice Awards. We postponed that in May, and we'll be naming the winners in the next few weeks via a video. We'll be shooting that with the award winners. So stay tuned for that time and how to watch that video. And then for our community, unfortunately, the Thunderbird Art and Wine Festival, Taste of Cave Creek, Biketoberfest, and Wicked will not be happening this fall. So hopefully January we can breathe life into our community and get back to semi-normal activities. That's what I'm hoping and looking forward to. So without any further ado, I want to introduce Jeff Kleinman. He is our member spotlight sponsor for our breakfast meeting this morning. So thank you, Jeff. You're on mute.
Good morning. Sorry. Got it. What did you want me to go through my piece for a second?
Yes, you are it. You are on.
All right. Well, hopefully everybody can see that. Sorry, I'm using two monitors here, so I'm looking away. One of the things that I believe in is people do business with people they know and they like. Well, I figured first thing is make sure everybody knows who I am and what I do. So I always like to make a joke that, have you ever seen a unicorn? And I say that because I was born and third generation Arizona native in Mesa in 1964, back when Mesa's population was only 28,000. And this is baby me and youthful and high school student Jeff. And this is my lovely wife, Rosalind. And a couple of family photos of what me and my family love to go do when we're not working. And these are my two little buddies. This is Gunny and this is Sarge. They travel with me all over the state to our events that we go do. And these are just some family photos of us doing fun things. And we're very involved in the Cactus Shadows High School mountain bike team. Usually when we have our team races, I get to cook dinner for about 60 to 80 people with the assistance of my wife and a couple other people. But very involved in the mountain bike racing. It's such a fun activity for all the kids to do a weekend camp out and go to these bike races. So one of my other favorite memories is just this last year, me and my wife, that's back about 20 years ago, that picture before we got married. We celebrated our 20th anniversary over at Gainey Ranch, which is where we got married 20 years ago. And that just took place last year in the month of September. I did go to Westwood High School in Mesa, and then I joined the United States Air Force, and I served both in Utah and in Germany during my 5-year stint with the military. When I got out, I started working for a company that was called Space Data Corporation that has been purchased 2 other times. And my common joke was that I used to be a rocket scientist. It worked good for me in my young 20s when I was single. Anyways, I was not a rocket scientist, but I did was a lead technician on programs. And those are some of the rockets that I did get a chance to go out and launch out in the field. And thank goodness, during that time frame, I only had 1 rocket that ever did blow up, but I was not out in the field when that took place, nor did I cause it. So that was a good part. Once I left aerospace, I started my own company, which was called GymWorks. And I was fixing fitness equipment, and then that merged with a husband and wife team, and we started doing fitness equipment for, there's clubs all over Cave Creek that have purchased equipment from me over that little over a decade that we did that business. Once I left that business, my partnership, one of my former employees had gone to work for Aflac, and that's how I ended up in the insurance career field. In 2009, I started my own agency, and I specialize in health insurance, voluntary products, Medicare, long-term care, but my passion is Medicare. It's something that I absolutely love doing. And anybody who has one of these red, white, and blue cards or is going to get one soon, those are the people that I can help. Plus, I am also very involved in the American Legion as a veteran. I assist other veterans in getting their VA benefits, and there are Medicare benefits for veterans that they don't even know about, that if I just could have a conversation with them, I could help them have money, transportation, better services. We hear all the complaints about how they don't get taken care of. All they need is an advocate, and that's what I specialize in, is helping our veterans. So if you know somebody, definitely send them my direction. This is a short video of kind of how Medicare works, and I know that some of you, well, almost all of us, are not Medicare age, but you have parents that will be, brothers or sisters that will be, and one day, all of us will be. So this is an educational video. Let me go ahead and play it real quick. It's a short video.
Your Medicare plan is out there. Let's find it together.
Well, what exactly is Medicare?
Medicare is a federal program that provides health insurance for people ages 65 and older and those with certain disabilities.
How does it work?
Let's start with the basics. There are 4 different parts to Medicare, plus another optional component we'll talk about later. We'll begin with Original Medicare, made up of Parts A and B. Part A is your hospital insurance. This helps pay for inpatient stays, skilled nursing facilities, and hospice care. Part B is your medical insurance. This covers things like doctor visits, ambulance rides, lab tests, and medical equipment such as wheelchairs.
What about the other parts?
There's also Part D, an optional prescription drug plan that's separate from original Medicare. Each plan defines a list of covered drugs and the pharmacies where you can get them.
Wait, did you skip a letter?
We didn't forget about Part C, more commonly known as Medicare Advantage. Private insurers offer these plans as an alternative to original Medicare. They provide all necessary coverage in one convenient plan and with only one card to keep track of. Most Medicare Advantage plans also include prescription drug coverage and other added benefits like dental, vision, hearing, and even fitness memberships. But Medicare Advantage plans aren't the only way to get additional coverage. Medigap plans, also called Medicare supplements, help cover the copays and deductibles that original Medicare doesn't pay for. These plans are sold by private insurers, but the various plan types are standardized by the government. These supplemental plans can only be combined with original Medicare, meaning you can choose Medicare Advantage or Medicare supplements, but not both. So there you have it, the ABCs and D of Medicare.
Nope. How do I get past that? All right. So bottom line is I can't help anybody with Medicare until they have both their A and B established. And they might have gotten that when they became disabled or just before we turned 65. And the challenge is our traditional health insurance, and this is educational, is the fact that if you have A and B by itself, it's not enough because there's going to be a lot of out-of-pocket costs associated with Medicare. And that's why people usually either get a Medicare supplement or a prescription drug plan. Also, delaying signing up for your Part B or your Part D could contain lifelong penalties. So it's very important to look at this prior to turning 65 and work with somebody to help make sure you don't have lifelong penalties by avoiding getting enrolled in programs at the right time. So when somebody has their A and B, most people have to pick either option 1 or pick option 2 to make sure they've got the right coverage so that they don't have big medical bills as we age into retirement. And here's the challenge. Here in the state of Arizona, and this is an example for Maricopa County only, right now in Medicare supplements, we have 58 carriers with 8 plans. On Medicare prescription drugs, we have 11 carriers with 31 plan options. And Medicare Advantage, 9 carriers with 56 plan options. It's no wonder our seniors get confused when they enter the age of Medicare. And this is why a lot of times they feel so overwhelmed because we're used to having 2 or 3 choices in an employer plan, or sometimes only one. How do you make a decision when you have all these decisions to do? So how do you choose? Some people just call the carrier that they've been with, and that carrier will recommend their best plan to them. Or you can work with a broker like myself, and I'll help you get your best plan as opposed to their best plan and make sure that you get the right type of coverage. So you should shop your plan options with a local professional that does know the markets and not a call center in some other state that does not know what's happening. And just so you know, I am compensated by whichever carrier you choose. And my goal is to help you find the right plan, and then they pay me if I help you find the right plan. So you'll never pay me to help you find your coverage. Last year, I helped one young couple, and this is just an extreme example of somebody that when I went and met with him, this is what he was paying. He was already retired, but he was paying over $8,000 a year to have health insurance. Once I got done helping him, he wasn't paying anything except for, well, in this case, $12 for a medication. And he's teasing me that you might have saved me $8,000, but it cost me $12 for some prescription drugs. So that's how I'm able to help people. There are some questions that I always ask about for your top 5 Medicare. Are you aware that you could be penalized for life? if you delay making your Medicare decisions. And when was the last time you shopped for Medicare plans? You could be overpaying a lot for those of you that may already be on Medicare, or your parents or brothers or sisters. Do you get upset when you hear that your friends and neighbors pay a lot less than you do for your care? And the second to last is you could be overpaying for your meds. If you do not shop your plan every year, because these carriers do change the prescription drug plans. Lastly, do you pay too much to see your favorite doctor, or when you get hospitalized? Those are the areas where I can really help. And a great referral for me, because let's face it, this is what the Chamber's all about, is helping each other's business. And I wanted you to get to know me and a little bit about what I do and how I do it. So pretty much anybody who was born 1956 or earlier, or has been disabled more than 24 months, and they're on Medicare, those are the folks I can help. And anybody that's moving into our area, they have to change usually their prescription drug plan or their Advantage plan. So if they're moving into our area, those would be a great referral for me. Anybody that's over 65, let's review your current plan to see where you could be saving money. And when I say that, I'm not going to just try to change your doctors. We always keep your doctors if we're going to change plans, because we don't want to change the people who know you and care for you, but we do want to make sure that you're not overpaying for the services that you're receiving. And then last, if you hear somebody complaining about their healthcare costs, those are the people that I'm looking for. And annual open enrollment starts in 2 weeks. And this is why I requested the opportunity to talk about this, because this is, you strike while the iron is hot. I will be manning a kiosk over at our local Walmart on Cave Creek Road. And I'll be there on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Fridays in the morning from 8:30 to 11:30. So I'd love for you to stop by and ask questions, and let me take a look at maybe what plan you have. And there are going to be times where I'm going to say, you know what, you need to stay right where you're at. There are other times once I see what your plan is, I might be able to make a recommendation to say you might want to look at plan A, B, or C based upon your program. And that way we can help make sure you're able to save that money. So please stop by the Walmart, come say hi. And for people that are already on Medicare or will be getting on Medicare soon, reach out to me and I can get you a copy of this Medicare and You. This is the Medicare Bible that everybody gets a copy of when they are getting ready to turn 65 or every year after you're 65. And it's the rule book that tells you what has changed for this year. Also, you can find me on the Chamber website. So just go look for me there if you can't find me, or you can call the Chamber office and say, how do I get a hold of that Medicare guy that's been in our Chamber for a while? I'd love to reach out and help your parents, your siblings, or yourself if you are one of those folks over 65. Well, now you know a little bit more about me, Jeff Kleinman with Assured Benefit Consulting, and I'd love to hear from you. That's it, Patty. I'm all done. I'll stop sharing.
I have a question, Jeff.
Yes.
So you and I were chatting a while ago about your presentation. So what's a good age to start planning? Because you said that there's a lead time.
There is a lead time. When somebody is 64 and a half, that's the time frame that they should start the conversation. Because I'm going to coach them on what the next steps are and get them prepared, because sometimes you might stay on an employer plan. Let's say you're working to 67 and you're going to stay with your employer's health insurance. We want to talk about that. And because just because your employer offers you health insurance, a lot of times Medicare, the risk is way lower. Most of my clients, once we compare Medicare to the employer plan, if they get a hospitalization, they could be out $5,000. If they're on Medicare, they might be out $750. So there are things to consider. 64 and a half is the perfect age to start the conversation. And then every year during open enrollment, which starts October 15th, people should review their plan. I can't tell you how many folks I've sat down with who said, look, I'm happy with my plan. I said, well, let's look at your meds. We go through their meds and they find out, oh boy, my medications are going to cost me $1,500 more next year. Can we shop that? And when we go and shop it, Seniors on fixed incomes don't want a new $1,500 bill. So thank you for asking that, Patty.
You're welcome. So again, I want to thank Jeff Kleinman with Assured Benefit Consulting. And so if you could, Jeff, put your contact info in the chat window again, that would be fantastic. And then, like he said, if you're thinking about it or know someone who is approaching that magical age, just call the office and we'll be able to contact you with Jeff. So thank you. So without any further ado, I want to move right into our program. We have with us today several individuals that are experts in their field. BPeterson with BPeterson Design is joining us this morning. Steve Woods with Tech for Life. David Murphy with Nvent Marketing. And Eric Toohey with Times Media Group. So thanks you guys for joining.
Let me turn this down.
All right, so I'm going to ask a series of questions, and each of you will have a turn to answer those questions. And I'm hoping that we get through all of them. If we don't, then we can send out an email to the rest of the group afterwards, so we can get the burning questions in my brain. There could be more questions. If any of the people that are watching the presentation this morning, if you have a question, just put that in the chat window and we'll get to it. So I've heard recently that the 5 pillars of digital marketing success includes web presence, digital marketing footprint, monetization, audience engagement strategy, and data privacy. I'm hoping during our conversation today that all of you will touch on these 5 points and add any additional thoughts that you think are important. So my first question, and it's what we're all talking about today, how has COVID changed your business strategy? And we'll start with you, Ben.
Perfect, okay. So one of the major things, first off, hello, but we have seen a lot more need to be creative for some businesses that weren't online to begin with, that are now needing to come online because they can't have that physical connection with their clients. So essentially the way that we're developing our strategies are fairly similar because it's still, you're looking to get in front of people and involved in people's daily lives, essentially is what we're trying to do. And so that part hasn't necessarily changed, but who we're trying to do it for and how we're trying to creatively bring these, I don't want to say Stone Age businesses, but the businesses that have not had that digital presence before, how to bring them into the market and creative ways to integrate technology into their daily lives to be able to utilize it better and become more efficient.
Steve, what about you?
Well, good morning, everyone, by the way. Hi. Thank you for allowing us to be on here, Patty. Our tech business, which is computer repair and all that kind of stuff, we have 4 full-time techs, and we have carry-in service all the time. So we had to change that right off the bat to make it no contact drop-off pickup and change our front desk so that people could only come in and do social distancing and keep everybody clean. We have sanitation that we had to do overnight, every night. We have UVC lights that we put in and all kinds of protection, everything from gloves to all that kind of stuff. So that was our big change out the front. But our website of the business, we have 4 employees there, and that has really focused more on the digital side, which, you know, Google My Business has become a huge thing because we had to show people how to change their hours, or that they were open or closed, or that they wanted to post things that they were doing during COVID. And there's a special area on there for COVID notification. And then we host about 125 sites, and we had to change all those and put COVID messages on them. And so, yeah, it's been different. And the amount of people that are techs have helped work from home and learn how to use Zoom, I can't even count. So it's been a lot of change for us. It's been good though, and we've stayed open the whole time. So we have been very blessed in that respect.
Awesome. David Murphy.
Hi, folks. Well, first of all, if the question is how did COVID change the way I do business, COVID caused me to start my business. I started my company on May 1st, right in the midst of it, and I was in a career transition from 10 years at HP and 30 years in enterprise and B2B marketing. And as I spoke with business owners in my network, I found that everyone was struggling with the new work from home environment, with people not commuting, people not in useless meetings in the office. They are at home on the internet. And I've been tracking the internet usage since the first shutdown on March 16th. And we are now at a rate of 30% increase of internet traffic since March 16th. So people are home consuming content. They're on their computers 6 hours, 43 minutes per day is the average amount of time that people spend on the internet. 2.5 hours of that day is just on social media. So, what I'm learning and advising my clients is that it's no longer a compartmentalization of, social media is for non-business time, and then we just do email during business time. Because what's happening is with people home, they are consuming content, they're learning, they are discovering, they're researching, and they're looking for answers. And so this is an opportunity for all businesses to be found on the internet in ways that they couldn't before. And we could talk about some of those strategies as we go through the questions.
Awesome. Thank you. Eric Toohey.
Good morning, everyone. Big shift. I mean, immediately we've had several shifts. Obviously, we're 6 months into a lot of, from where we started with a lot of the stay-at-home orders and things like that. So there's been several shifts, but the initial shift was changing of messaging. And a lot of people had to literally overnight, switch out their messaging, whether it's updating their current clients, updating, potential clients, other people in the community, the chamber, letting their clients know that they were either restricted, had restricted hours, temporarily closed, new ways of doing business. So that was a big shift. And then there's been, a few more waves of that has continued to happen. So that's been essential. And there's a big gap between the businesses that rode that wave and were adaptable and got connected with people, and other people there. I still see businesses that have, they're putting messaging out there, and it still shows that they're open on Facebook or on their Google My Business listing, and they're not open, or they're restricted hours. And so I ran into a lot of different businesses where I basically call in advance if I'm planning to stop by to make sure to double check, because I've had a few circumstances where Mary Ellen and I have showed up to a business that looks like they were open and they weren't open. So the shift in the messaging and really going with the fundamentals, kind of think of like a sports team with when they have kind of like a sloppy game. What do the coaches do the next week? They say, well, we got to get back to the fundamentals. We got to look and make sure, is your site secure? Do you have a website? Has your website been updated? Are your social media pages available? Are you doing business at this address? Is your phone number correct? And really looking at those fundamentals is a great place to start. And it's caused either businesses to establish those or shift those.
And we all have to, the words of new normal and pivot, I'm getting to the point where I can't stand either one of those words or phrases, but it's the truth. We do have to figure out ways to reach out to folks. And, all the statistics still say that, 40% of people aren't leaving their homes. So for a community like Carefree and Cave Creek, we have to figure out how to reach those folks with our goods and our services. And it's through digital marketing where that's going to happen. So the next question is social media. Is one platform better than the other, or do I need a presence on all? So Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I mean, what does everybody recommend? And I'm going to go in the same order and start with Ben.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's a good question, really. And we get that question quite a bit. So the main kind of strategy that we put into what platform you should be on and how it should be managed is based on ROI. I mean, essentially, you're going to go with something if you're going to reach the most amount of people for the least amount of money and have the biggest effect on your business. So obviously, number one and number two are Facebook and Instagram. The rest of them kind of follow out from there. And it's really heavily dependent on what your specific services are and what you do. A good example, Instagram is heavily image-based. So if you don't have something that can have something that's graphically and visually appealing, you will have less return on investment. You'll have less strategy into it than you would, say, on Facebook, where you can go a little bit more content based. So essentially, those are the two main things. The one thing that I'd want to touch on, though, is it is very important to know that it behooves you to be on as many that you can manage properly. But a mismanaged social media channel will hurt you more than it will to not be on there at all. So if you're going to get on something, get on it and do it properly. Don't just mismanage it or anything from there. It's way better to only have one or two channels that are done correctly than there is to be on every single one of them and be mismanaging it.
Steve.
I will amen to Ben's comments, because our motto is pick one and do it well. You know, that, and do that first before you think about doing any other ones. And, you know, it all depends what kind of business that you have. So we have artists like Carol Perry, who does glass work. She got on Instagram and just blew it up because her artwork just blew it up for her. She had great content. We have bars and restaurants that live on Facebook, you know, primarily because that's where they're getting people. And then we have authors that are on LinkedIn and Twitter, you know, depending on what type of author they are, you know. So we have one that's very political motivated. So he's on Twitter all the time, driving his stuff, and that's his platform. And then if you get that one mastered, great, move on to other ones. It is good. I mean, you want to have a bigger web presence if you can do it, but you got to do one correctly. And that takes a lot of work for a small business owner who's usually the one doing it, or if you're hiring somebody to do it for you, it takes a lot of work to do it correctly. So do one, pick one, and do it well. That's it.
David Murphy.
So I'm sharing this slide here to give you a view that there are two sides of your social media equation. One is your organic engagement and your reach, and the other is where you might be placing some paid advertising. And so as my colleagues have correctly stated, you want to be where you can have the most impact with the most value and the connection to your audience. If you're in a B2B environment, do not disregard LinkedIn for either content or advertising, or a blend of both. For those of us who are engaged with other businesses, this is the social media network of business. And with advertising, you're able to reach specific titles, roles, companies, industries, of course, by geography, and you're able to reach them according to the connections they have, what interests they have, and what affiliations they have. So LinkedIn is absolutely very, very compelling in a B2B. And then, as my colleagues have said, Facebook and Instagram are the leading platforms for social, but don't disregard Twitter, and actually don't even disregard emerging platforms like TikTok, because these are becoming prolific in their adoption. And I would say, don't spread the same message across all channels equally. Adjust it, modify it to your audiences, and be cognizant of how people consume information, and keep it at a level that is digestible and consumable by them. But don't just spray and pray for response. So you want to be thoughtful in the kinds of content that you post. Take advantage of what's called moment marketing, which is content around what's happening in the market, in the environment today. Also be cognizant of user case studies and applications in which customers can learn from the experiences of your others. So it does require some forethought, and you don't have to spend an hour or two every day doing this because you have businesses to run. There are a lot of planning tools where you can plan all of your social media posts well in advance. You could spend a Saturday morning or Friday afternoon posting all of your content for the next 30 days or more, and then you'll get those placements on schedule, and then you'll get feedback from their remarks and responses. So it does not have to be that cumbersome, but it does require some planning and some organization.
Before we get to Eric's response, you brought up an interesting question that is not the questions that I gave you, but David and all of you, is there a certain social media platform that is better for a certain demographic? Because you mentioned TikTok, and I just equate that to the younger generation, if you will.
Right.
So we'll get to Eric's response, and then we'll ask your question about the generation whole thing. Go ahead, Eric.
So like a few others have said, it really depends on what your strategy is. So the most important thing is determining your strategy and understanding each type of network and what they're known for. And so not just what you believe they're known for, what you see. Like TikTok has a value, and a lot of people associate it with young kids and dancing videos. And though you're going to see like that dominate right now, there's plenty of people that are getting a lot of attraction with TikTok in other ways. But to think about, you know, some networks that are big. One that I'll mention that is a real game changer for a lot of businesses and is the second biggest search engine in the world, which is YouTube. So you have Google, which is number one, and YouTube, which is number two. And Google owns YouTube, if you didn't know that. So it's not going to go away anytime soon. And if you're searching in Google and you believe in the power of Google, then YouTube is right there with it. And so think of things like answering your frequently asked questions or doing some of these market updates, like David mentioned, like on LinkedIn. YouTube would be a great way to, if you're interested in making videos and creating videos, and just, you can literally film with your Samsung or your iPhone, or you can get cheap mics that plug into your and set them up on your desk where you're there, or even take videos like we're doing right here with your laptop or desktop computers. As long as your sound quality is good and you're in a quiet room, you can make a lot of videos in a short period of time that really engage with customers. And it's the type of content that everybody's echoed, where you really want to have some engaging content. And because people are in such a consumption mode right now, this is a trend that's already been happening. And yes, with stay-at-home orders, people have been consuming that much more, but you know, content consumption is not going to go away, especially digitally as well, regardless of you know, us continuing to meet in person in the future, that type of thing. People are going to consume relevant content to them, and it's also going to help smaller businesses get found. If you're posting relevant content at a good frequent basis, you're also going to get some organic searches and some of that love from the search engines, because you are consistent, because you are posting new content and you are in your area. The other side of things I'll mention too is part of having the plan is that you might want to do paid advertising. And paid advertising right now, especially during COVID, is actually, you're getting more bang for the buck. And so it's kind of like the stock market, when everybody, you know, is there and all excited and, oh, wow, things are crazy, and a lot of people are buying in. It's actually more often, you know, statistically a bad time to buy in. But when a lot of people are scared, or they're pumping the brakes, or they're waiting and they're not taking action, it's when a lot of smarter investors invest. The same thing is done with advertising on any format, but especially digitally. Like, there's a lot more potential ROI to be found when there's less people in the pool. So if your competitors have pumped the brakes, you might want to go and be more aggressive in your strategy than you were before, and that can help you gain a temporary or even a permanent market share edge over them.
So Ben, any thoughts about which social media platform is best for a certain demographic, age-wise?
Well, I mean, everybody's touched on some really good points. There's a lot of new stuff coming out, and there's a lot of people trying that, but there are certainly trends what's going on. I mean, at TikTok, there are a lot of people that you wouldn't necessarily expect on there. But the main thing that I could say is everything has to be data driven. So there are statistics of who uses what and where you can reach whom. So really with that, it's more than just a feeling. It's about using that data to be able to push through there. Whenever you're looking at actually volume, there may be, I mean, TikTok may have a greater volume of younger users compared to older users, but Facebook still gets 100 times what TikTok does. So it really depends on what your strategy is and where you're going. But to me, that the statistics change almost daily on who all's using it, because they do ebb and flow as you're going through. And it is really surprising of who's utilizing these channels that you wouldn't necessarily expect that demographic would be using it.
So Steve, it seems to me then that when all of you are talking with a client, then it's really about the questions of what they want, their goals are, and who they want to reach, and then you all decide what's best for them. So go ahead, Steve.
That's true. I mean, everything starts with needs analysis for us. I mean, you know, what do they need and where are they going, but an opportunity. But to answer your question, I think you know, we've seen a migration kind of off of that for young kids to Instagram and Snapchat, you know, all those kind of things. They still stay on Facebook, but they're not using it as much. I mean, they're still on there. Instagram and Snapchat seem to be their driver. And we've seen a huge increase in our older folks up here are all on Facebook now because their grandkids are on there, you know, or their families are on there, and they've gotten to know that. And so that's one reason why a lot of people are still hanging on there. So yeah, you're always going to see people jumping onto the new platforms, especially the young folks, and then see which ones mature. And it depends on your audience and what you're really going for. But that's the only trend I can think of that we see on a regular basis.
Any thoughts, David?
I just echo my colleagues' remarks. You really need to start with the strategy of what the business value proposition is, what your market is desiring, how you size up against your competitor, and then customize the campaign, because there are more choices than ever, and it just pays to be strategic and waste less time, waste less money by putting the advanced thought into it. So I think we all tend to agree in that area.
Mm-hmm. So Eric touched on this, but the next question, as organic reach decreases on social media, how important is it to have a paid campaign? So Ben, we'll start with you.
Okay, perfect. So, I mean, to me, that's kind of an interesting question, the way that it's worded anyways, of organic reach decreasing. With that, technically, that really should not be happening if you're staying on top of the algorithm. So if you're still posting quality, engaging content and everything going through there, it shouldn't decrease. But with that being said, we always highly suggest paid advertising as well, because with that, you can specifically reach out for a certain demographic or a certain strategy that you're going through for a campaign, as opposed to just reaching anybody that's already following you or that has interest in your business already. So essentially, it's a way to remove yourself from your existing following and place yourself in front of people that your specific advertising campaign is trying to reach.
Thank you. Steve.
Well, we normally try to start with organic results first, because obviously that is long lasting and it's more affordable. It takes more time and it takes more work, but that's usually our first point that we're really trying to accomplish. And then ads, obviously it depends on the urgency, depends on the products and what you're trying to get to, but ads are very focused. So we can dial in Facebook ads down to a laser point, you know, and say, oh, only people that are 35 years of age that live in Carefree are going to see this ad, you know, or that bought a new boat last week, or whatever the case may be. You can really dial those in. So certain times you need to fire a laser, you know, no doubt about it. But we're always looking for that organic search results, even in social media, because that is long-term building your web presence and works for you 365 without having to pay for it. So ultimately, that's most of our business's goal.
Mm-hmm. And I know being with you know, with Steve, that has helped the chamber out for quite a number of years now, and I know we spend a considerable amount of hours every single week so that we can get a bigger bang for free or the organic. Right. Yeah, and so thank you for that tutelage. So David, go ahead.
So I agree. So social is a part of the mix. Search engine optimization is a part. These are longer term, more organic, more sticky, more durable, less cost intensive over time. So indeed, if you have a definitive budget and an urgent timeline, pay-per-click advertising has a very, very important value, both in what's called paid search or display advertising. And as you can see, these descriptions with paid search or search engine marketing, you can get discovered when people are actively in market for your product or your competitors. With display advertising, you can get discovered by a wider audience who match the definitions of your ideal customer profile. So, you know, through Google search and through display advertising, you can take advantage of the Google Display Network, which reaches 90% or more of all internet users. It's a network of 2 million websites that are affiliated with Google. So a lot of the sites that you go to and you see display ads, such as you see on the right, those were placed through the Google Display Network. And you can define and refine your target market based on your budget, your priorities, and your audience definitions. I described a moment ago LinkedIn, how you can have sponsored content and text ads in line native to the organic content so that it becomes natural and engaging. And I described how you can refine that. Similarly with Facebook and Instagram, you can be very prescriptive on the likes and affiliations and psychographics of your market. So if they like one particular topic that's complementary to yours, it can be a very compelling driver for your brand awareness, but also a driver to your site for e-commerce. So really, when you look at the pros and cons of display advertising, you can decide exactly how much you want to spend. If you want to spend $100 or $500 or $5,000, it stops when you end your budget. It's very fast. We could have an ad running starting on Thursday, and you'll start to get visits to your site on Thursday. You can do a lot of A/B testing with various offers and copy versions, as well as audience definitions. You can measure the results, you can refine it, and then scale it once you get those conversion rates. Let's see, so disadvantages, as soon as you stop, it's all over. So you stop that Google, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn ad, the leads stop, and that's the beauty of search engine optimization. And with display, your competitors can see you, so they can see what kinds of strategies you have, and they can copy you and try to outbid you. So a lot involved in that, a lot of moving parts, but hopefully that gives you an overview of the pros and cons.
Eric.
So applying the fundamentals of maximizing your organic reach is obviously what you want to do. Like a lot of people have already covered here, SEO is a long-term strategy. Some people think it's a short-term strategy. It's a long-term strategy. It doesn't mean you can't have results from it in the short term, but it's the long game. But think of it as kind of like building blocks or bricks. You want to continue to stack those up and have a very solid wall or very solid foundation for what you're doing. And then the paid ads can be kind of like your grout or maybe even your roof after your wall's built of your marketing house, so to speak. And so it does, if you are looking for shorter term results, or you have a strong call to action, or you want to do a combination, you don't want to ignore the organic and the tapping into getting the Google or search engine love that you can get with having your consistent and persistent content out there. But you also, that might not be enough. And so if you're doing all those best practices and you are getting some, extra people outside your network, and you're getting some extra attraction and love and likes or follows or whatever it is on that network or connections, and that isn't, turning it for you, then it might be a sign that you need to reach outside your network. And that's where the ads go. And it allows you to reach new people that don't know about your business, that are looking for your type of services. So they each have their place. I think that they're both essential in their own ways, but yeah, you can't ignore the base and the organic. And so, like, for example, like right now, LinkedIn that David talked about, the organic reach on most of the posts that you're getting from the network itself. And I think that's what your question was kind of leading into. You're getting more organic reach with any type of post right now on LinkedIn than you are on Facebook, for example. And so, like, over the time, Facebook's allowed you to even reach less people than you were, 5 years ago, or even before that. Every year, your average post, you can still, you're tapping into the algorithm. If you're doing things and tapping into the features of Facebook, you can kind of beat the odds compared to somebody else who doesn't know what they're doing, but you're still going to pay a little bit to reach your entire network, let alone get it over to new people. And so really, if you have a big audience and you have a big following and you've been able to really engage with them and you're pulling a lot of business, then you can go on an organic content game and not necessarily buy ads. But if you have 46 Facebook followers, you can be doing amazing things and you're reaching a lot of those people, but it might not be churning what you want it for your business. So that's where you really want to implement an ad strategy as well, to help that content get seen by more people and your ideal customer.
So I think all of this is fascinating. So Steve and I were talking last night, and for lack of a better word, I'm going to talk about the level of sophistication of some people, businesses who would want to start or grow their social media platforms. So just to give an idea for all those levels of engagement, I guess, with the level of knowledge that people have, can each of you share some ideas about how a client would monetize their website and social media platforms? And we'll start with Ben.
So that's actually an interesting subject. Monetization has been around for a little while, and it's kind of for lack of a better term, a bit of a taboo subject. For the more kind of old school people that I guess kind of do it the older way, I'm a firm believer that it all comes down to strategy. And so most people, all of our clients are small businesses. We don't do anything for brand ambassadors or anything like that currently. So the whole point of anything that you do for your web presence is all about gaining yourself and your company business, not putting advertising on your website or selling ad space on your Facebook page to monetize that and gain revenue through that channel. So for me, I mean, interestingly enough, yes, there are plenty of ways to do it. You can become a part of Google's network to be able to put the display ads on your website. You can sell advertising on your Facebook page if you have the following for it. But for me personally and my company, we don't really see the point of it, because if you're getting that much traffic, if you're worried about converting into more sales, you should be focused more on streamlining your services and why are those clients that are already on your site not converting into sales, as opposed to trying to push traffic to somebody else's website, which then is detrimental to your ranking and your traffic and everything else. So personally, that's kind of where we come from as a business. It is a bit of a taboo subject, though.
Gotcha. Steve.
It is called advertising. That's another word for it. So nobody really likes advertising. So it's not that I agree with Ben. I mean, it's not that popular in the small business world at all, and that's primarily who we deal with also. However, we took another turn at that because you're still trying to generate income from your website. So the chamber sells space on their website. I can buy an ad on the chamber's website to promote my business here locally on the chamber website. And they're getting over 1 million visits a year now. So that's an incredible way for the chamber to be able to monetize their website. So we've taken that same strategy into nonprofits, and we started a program where if you go to comepartner.com, you can make a donation to a nonprofit and become a partner with either the food bank and Feed the Hungry, or the library and promote literacy, or Kiwanis and promote kids, or the Cape Creek Museum and support our history in Cape Creek. By making a donation to them, you will partner with them digitally and be able to work with all 4 of those. And then you can do cause marketing. So they're monetizing their website by putting your information on their website. You get a landing page on their website, and you get ads on their site. You can put coupons out there. So you're helping them monetize their website and get donations. You're getting promotion for your business, display ads, all those kind of things, just by making a nonprofit donation to one of our local nonprofits. So we kind of turned that around and said, here's a way that you can do this, help the community, be involved in the community, and get a lot of exposure and increase your digital marketing foundation in a huge way. The food bank is just real quick, because we forgot to mention, all the events are canceled, but the food bank is still having empty bowls, which is always a big event that goes on every year. Artists make bowls, donate them. Harold's donates food to fill the bowls. And then the idea is you go and have a lunch that's like a poor person's lunch, with a glass of water and bread. And then artists donate art, and they always have an art auction during the lunch. Well, this year, the art auction's online at the food bank. So if you go to foothillsfoodbank.com, you can look at the art. It goes through October 16th, I believe, is when it ends, and that's the date of empty bowls. And you can buy your bowl online. All that's going on online this year. So there's another way that you can really contribute to the community and be part of those kind of things. So empty bowls has translated to an online, pardon my clip for the food bank, but it's one of where our heart is at a lot of times, is with feeding the hungry especially. And they haven't stopped during COVID either. Their needs are still there. So this will help them, help the local artists. You can go out and bid on art. There's probably 50 pieces of art on the auction right now, and bidding is going like crazy. It's still really affordable. All the artists are quality art. And so go out and visit the food bank. But I like to flip monetization around like that, because I think the chamber sees a benefit from selling their ads. And I think I know that these nonprofits absolutely see a benefit from having businesses on their site. And the businesses also benefit. So comepartner.com.
It's a win-win for everybody, for sure. David.
So Ben and Steve did a nice job at talking about monetization of your website through advertising. So let's take a different tack on monetization and how you can actually make money by selling your own products on your website. So I think sometimes small businesses think that either their business must be either online or retail. And I think we've proven and come to understand that there is a blend now. So even if you have a storefront or a retail office or just a business-to-business office where you're selling face-to-face or through a physical location, you can monetize your web presence by adding an e-commerce component. And it used to be that this was a very expensive endeavor, but it's very affordable now. In fact, I just did something for a client who was selling his products offline, physically, and wanted to create a Shopify presence. So we created a Shopify site for him that was an extension of his website. So when you go to his website, you can click on a link and all of a sudden you're shopping for his products. And we did that for about $2,000. And so instantly he's an e-commerce business. And so even if you have a retail store or a small office or a shop where you're traditionally selling physically, for a very small investment, you can add a Shopify element to your website and begin selling not only locally, but globally.
Thank you. Eric?
So there's two ways that I would recommend that you approach this. The first way would be to give to others, kind of what Steve was elaborating about, where you want to give to others, you want to promote others. And you can do this a variety of ways through your website or through your social media pages where, maybe you're interviewing in a local business, or maybe you are vlogging going somewhere, videotaping yourself, dropping something off, making a donation, being at a chamber event, these various things that are happening in the community. I'm sure everybody's seen different businesses of all different types where they're engaging with others and they're propping up. They're not talking about and selling their particular services. They're propping up another business. And there's a couple things that magically happen with that. One, even if you're selling another business, the audience is going to receive that. How we humans are emotional. We're going to receive it as, oh wow, someone else, a third party this is kind of like how review sites work, and people look at reviews and put so much stamp in reviews. When you're kind of reviewing somebody else or shining a light on them, you actually are more credible. And then when you switch over and you start talking about your own business, if you're salesy, people switch off. And so that's one way to monetize, is to give to those other people, and you're going to be seen in a better way. And people are going to want to, it's kind of the giver's gain philosophy, where if you just give selflessly and you don't worry about it, a lot of people see that come back. And that's why, there's a lot of us that volunteer for, being ambassadors or committee members or board members or things like that. We're not necessarily doing a scorecard and saying, oh, well, if I do this amount of volunteer hours, I'm going to make this amount of money. They just see it come back to them. And there's other values besides money that comes to that. So that's the first way. The second way is, I'll piggyback on what David said, as far as if you have a product, even if it's a gift card or a voucher or something like that, if you have a product, you should be selling it online. It's so easy to do that. If you have a WordPress site, which is the most common, WordPress is the most common way. The most amount of sites that are built in the world are WordPress based. It's also what most of the major search engines love. But there's also these other, easy drag and drop, you build it sites, which I'm not as much of a fan of, but they've come a long way. But there's plugins, which are called plugins in WordPress, where you can literally put a shopping cart and put a little mini store on your site pretty easily. You can DIY, or you can get in contact with anybody who's on this call, and they can walk you through it or do it for you. Facebook also announced that they are doing their own, they have had the marketplace where you can sell your own stuff like the online garage sale, but they're actually launching stores. And so you can actually have your own store on Facebook. And that's something that I think we'll also see in the coming months, more people utilizing that, where even if you don't have a website or your website's not robust, you might be able to sell your products directly through Facebook. Now, the one thing that I'll mention when you get involved in that, just a trade-off, is doing that through Facebook or even a Shopify or some of these services where you basically build a site for yourself on their platform. You often don't own these. These are different than building your personal website. So you're kind of riding the wave. If they go down or if they change or something switch with their algorithm, even though it's a cheaper cost of entry, to have that built for you, or basically provide a framework, if something happens to that, it could affect your business. And so that's why I'd recommend often building your own website and integrating a shopping mechanism into that, because you own it and you can change it and you can pivot very quickly, and you're not relying upon one of these companies should they have, you know, a downfall or shift how they do things that dramatically, you know, you have all your eggs in that basket essentially. But those are two ways that you can monetize.
Before we get on to the next question, I would just encourage the panelists to place their contact info in the chat. I think that as we're having this conversation, that the listeners that are with us this morning, and then the people who may be viewing the YouTube video later, something will resonate with them, and they might want to reach out to you personally to ask you more questions. So please feel free to do that. So the next question, how would you describe the difference between digital advertising and email campaigns? And is one more important than the other, or should they all be done together? So Ben.
All right. So yeah, they're obviously different platforms with kind of what's going on, email marketing campaigns and digital marketing essentially. So they're utilized different ways, of course. Digital marketing has more things tied in together. So digital marketing can directly affect search engine ranking, how everything else is performing, how your client experience is viewed, not just for whatever platform you're on, but also the other ones crawl and read and rank you based on that information. So digital marketing to me is a lot heavier of a marketing tool that you could utilize, but there is absolutely a place for email marketing. It's just more of reaching out, and that's a fantastic option for grip marketing campaigns and for staying in touch with your clientele and making sure that you're on top of the mind, as opposed to digital marketing. I see as it's more advantageous to reach new people and to stay involved with everything. And again, you're not just doing a single thing whenever you're doing digital marketing. It isn't just tied to that single option. It directly affects everything else that has to do with your web presence. So that to me is a lot more advantageous than an email campaign, even though they both are good to utilize.
Makes sense. Steve.
So we're always looking to drive consistent activity to the websites and to our digital marketing platform. So all of our digital marketing platforms explore newsletters and usually implement them. It depends on the client. But we always are writing, if there's content that we're going to put on the website, we're putting it in our blogs, we're putting it on our social media, and change it around and put it in our newsletters. So we're trying to hit all those markets all the time. The biggest challenge we run into is so many business owners. And since we have business owners, I just want to urge all of you to get email addresses, because so many people go to all kinds of store, or they go to can't think of the word. They go out to sell their wares somewhere, and they sell all this stuff. They come out here to the Artists Guild or something out here in Carefree, and they get all these sales, and they never collect emails. Or they have people coming into their store and they do all these sales and they never collect email. And a lot of stores you go into, they'll say share on your social media, or leave us an email. Whatever you're doing, online transactions, you always need to get emails. So you should always be building a list of your clients, because if people bought something from you once, they were going to want to come back, hopefully, right? You have something that they needed, hopefully they'll need it again. So if you're getting in front of them on a positive basis, which is the basis for all marketing, then emailing them and saying, hey, thank you for your purchase, glad you're here, here's our newsletter, sign up for it, those kind of things. So we're always trying to do newsletter campaigns that link back to the website, link back to our social media to drive more traffic, because Google sees that as a positive vote every time you get a click from something like that to your website. And if those people stay and visit multiple sites, that's another plus. That's how we got the chamber to the volume of sites that they're at now, by linking all that activity together and trying to not duplicate content, but replicate what you're saying in a different way and different platforms to different people. So email marketing is a way to get that out there.
Mm-hmm. David.
So email has always been a favorite tool of mine, because it's effective. You can define the audience. You can deliver the message consistently and repeatedly and with scale. But, you know, COVID has changed it. And I want to show you something that I alluded to earlier, and you all can look at this website to yourself. It's from HubSpot, and it's a website where they track internet data from their 70,000 clients. And so since March 16th, this is the volume you see in the orange bars of what's happened with sales emails. And so with salespeople at home or not in the office, they are at home, you know, sending emails, and that blue line below it is the response rate to those emails. So while it has been historically and will remain a tool in your toolbox, you just have to acknowledge that people are getting deluged with emails today, and they just cannot keep up with the volume. So, you know, I would also add on to that you want to have a careful opt-in process and not use rented or purchased lists, especially, you know, when you, well, anytime, because you want to make sure that you are following the CAN-SPAM laws, but also protecting your brand. So I just wanted to share that in terms of email. And I would say that, you know, digital marketing is a complement and a supplement to your outbound. So you have to have a careful strategic blend of what's considered outbound, which is the content that you push out to your audience in your market, and inbound is the content that you push out so that those current or future prospects to your business will find you and connect with you on their own time.
Thank you. Eric.
So the inbox is still golden. We are getting inundated with a lot of emails, but just like in social media, there's a difference between just posting something to post something on Facebook and really having engaging content. And so the cream will still rise to the top no matter what type of marketing you are doing. If you put effort and you understand your audience and you understand what content it is, and whether you're doing this yourself or whether you're, you know, working with somebody else to have them coach you and teach you how to do it or help you with it, or facilitate it, or they're doing it for you. It's important for you to understand at the core what's going on. And so we've talked about a lot of these answers are, it depends. And so I know that doesn't always ring well with people, but it really is. And that's why every business is unique and every business has a different path. And that's what, you know, going from picking the correct type of social media networks and understanding who's there and who you want to reach and how they're utilized, how people consume content. But with email, it is different. It's one component, and it is that outbound. Think of just like I talked about before with the kind of the giver's gain. Think about the value. Think about subject lines. Subject lines in the first line of your email. Everybody has the previews, and that's where people really make a decision. People still check their emails; they're glued to them. So if you have really engaging subject lines, and you learn how to write good subject lines that aren't salesy, that aren't, you know, something that looks like it's going to get deleted right away, you might be the 10 or 20 or 30 or 50 or whatever percentage that gets opened out of that person's email inbox, even if they're inundated. Same thing with video or anything else. So the more engaging you are, the more you're giving. So if you talk about like, hey, we just gave to empty bowls and want to talk about it, and you literally post a video to, like, you know, a YouTube video that you just put up, and you're sharing content, and the content isn't about you selling, you know, your product. It's maybe elevating somebody else in the community, or, you know, giving back or something like that. That's branding. And that branding, when you're seen as, you know, a fixture in a community or a go-to, or maybe you're answering questions, and if you're seen as an authority figure in your industry, a lot of us are needs-based businesses. And so the SEO and the top of mind marketing, you want to be the go-to when that person has that need. So think of a real estate agent. I see Sandy's on the call. Hi, Sandy. Like at any point in time, there's 3 to 6% of people in the marketplace that are looking to buy or sell. Well, that's a small segment. And though real estate's on fire right now, which is amazing, that's still basically the same component. That's what's happening. But what do you do with the other 94 to 97% of people? It doesn't mean that they're never going to be part of that 3 or 6%, because they are at some point. You just don't know. None of us know exactly when that person is going to decide to buy or to sell. So that's why if you're pushing out content and you're connecting with your clients, and you've gathered these email addresses and you've built your database, when you have something important to say, it's important to say it and connect with those people. And then when they go, oh, well, I need to sell, I need to sell my house, then someone like Sandy or someone like Erica or someone who's reached out to them that's in that industry, that's done a good job of being an authority figure in that industry, is going to be top of mind. And that's kind of really your goal with a lot of this that's going out there. And if you have a product or, or changes that are happening, say it's a restaurant, sending out an email and saying, hey, we're back open, or hey, we adjusted our hours, or hey, we're doing, Taco Tuesday or Wine Wednesday, you're going to get a lot of people that tap into that and, can follow a special like that. It doesn't always have to just be, your philosophy on something. But think of it like it is as the long game. And that's what we talked about, the SEO and your content. If you're not putting out very salesy content, no matter what, especially with email, you have a better chance to get open and really examine those subject lines. There's tons of online resources that can teach you how to write better subject lines, or hire a pro, because those are the type of differences that you have that allow you to have traction with what you're doing, or just be another email that gets, dumped in the trash bin.
So because we're getting close on time, I am going to skip a little bit ahead because I want all of you to be able to talk a little bit about your particular company and what your niche is, and then have the participants that are with us today to be able to be recognized and who they are and what companies they represent. So again, I'm going to go back to you, Ben. What makes your company different, and do you have a niche?
We absolutely do have a niche. So we BPeterson Design, we started in 2008. I actually built my website, it's been 20 years ago now, my first website that I built. And one of the things that makes us different is we're specifically what I would define as a strategy-based company. So we don't do anything at all without going through your goal set and finding out what it's supposed to perform like before we actually structure something. And a good example of that is a lot of people have an idea of how they want their website to look or how they want their marketing to look. And while we still bring that input in and make sure that it reflects you as a company and you as a business, the whole point is, what are you wanting it to do? How are you wanting it to perform? Are you just wanting ads out there because you want ads out there? Or are you wanting this to actually convert into a sale on this specific item? So we very much so hone in on that. And that's kind of what I feel makes us a little bit different, because of the fact we're so uber focused on that end result that really it doesn't necessarily matter the steps that it takes to get there. If you have the goal in mind and are performing to match that goal, you can run through your data and make sure what all's working, what's not working, to be able to get to that end game. A perfect example that I have is I love the book Good to Great by Jim Collins. And one of the things they talk about in there is getting the right people on the bus. And it's a comparison of two different businesses that went through a downtrend, and one of them excelled, one of them did not. And essentially what ends up happening with all of them is they weren't so uber focused on the day-to-day of what they were doing today. They were focused on their goals and where their company needed to be and who they needed to get involved to be able to make it a better company. And in the end, a lot of them ended up doing things that was completely different than what they had started out to do. And if they'd have been so focused on the day-to-day, they would have never met that goal. So that's essentially what goes through there. And everything that we do is structured on that. But that's kind of where we come in. Our ideal client essentially is a small to medium-sized business that's looking to aggressively grow, that's probably been through a few other places before and through some hardships, that is ready to actually get serious about it and put the work in. So that's kind of who we specialize for.
Thank you, Ben. Steve.
Well, we are terminally unique. No, we love to be local. So we started out locally here. I've lived in this area since I was a kid. I went to high school in Moon Valley, but my parents lived over here in Desert Hills, and have been out here ever since. And so this has all been built on, what we're doing now has been built on just a love for technology and a love for trying to love our neighbors. So the first website I did was for a builder in Desert Hills. And then we followed that up with a Labrador puppy lady who was selling her puppies that she needed a website for. And that was a long time ago, 16 years ago. Anyway, so we've grown with the market and with this local area. So we know everything about Carefree and Carefree, and we work with most of the major nonprofits, most of the major businesses, both towns, all the time. So we're just locally in tune to everything that's going on here all the time. Most of our staff is local. Just about everybody lives here or around here, primarily. So, you know, we're just heavily invested into our area, and that's kind of unique because most people are looking at trying to get out, do international or be worldwide or nationwide or whatever. We never really had that ambition. We do have, it's amazing in Carefree, we have a ton of clients, and in Carefree actually, who are international businesses that work on their websites when they're here. So like we have Arabian Saddles, anyway, a lot of sites like that where those are actually made in England, but they travel over here in the summer or in the winter to spend their winters here. And so we do all of their websites, and they sell internationally. And so we market them internationally, but that's not our focus. Our focus is here locally. I mean, doing things like the food bank and things like that is where our heart is, and helping businesses actually get out of their brick and mortar location and out into the world and sell things, and sitting down with a business owner and figuring out how they're going to do that is probably our biggest joy, because we just get to sit down with people who are trying to run a business, trying to make a living, trying to make this all happen. They have a dream and they have a vision, and we equal their passion for them. So we partner up with them, and we look at, that's why it's called Tech for Life. We look at partnering with people for life. This is not a one-time transaction that we're looking at or trying to figure out how we're going to make money in this equation. Our focus is how we're going to help you be successful at what you have a passion of doing. And fortunately, we've been able to do that. And I think their experience growing over the years is what really gives us a lot of value these days, because all that background behind Google and watching Facebook grow and building all the social media. I mean, there was no social media when we started this. I mean, it was really nothing going on. So we've grown up with all that with all of our clients. So we've gone through that with everybody. We know the pain, and we've been through all that. And we're constantly in learn mode. So we're always out there grabbing for new tools. We have a whole suite of tools now we're using that we didn't even think about 3 years ago, to analyze people's presence and that kind of thing. So it's pretty amazing, actually. It's been just a joy, a passion, and a joy to be able to do it all. And we're grateful to be here today. So maybe that makes us unique. I don't know. That's all I got.
Thank you, Steve. David.
Yeah, so as I say, I started this business just a few months ago, but it was based on the foundation of what I have been doing for my employers for the last 2+ decades. So I've been living and breathing marketing for my own companies. And so what I wanted to do is apply all of those lessons and resources to small businesses in Arizona. So, you know, one thing that is obvious is that no two businesses are alike, and no two sets of needs are the same. And so you can't really sell cookie cutter programs because for obvious reasons. And so what we do is we show the full menu of all that's possible, and then we will customize it based on your needs, priorities, budgets, and risk reward appetite. And then really just not selling them so much as components, but always attaching it to your brand strategy and your business strategy to make sure that it aligns very well to your core purpose, your mission, and your vision, and always focused on performance and results. So it's critical to us that we help our clients grow, because with that, they will continue to expand and return the favor, and we can all grow together. So it has to be very performance and output based with a lot of ROI measurability. So that's what we do to make a difference in our clients' lives.
Thank you. Eric?
We believe in the power of community news, and that's why Times Publications is the largest locally owned publishing firm in the state. We actually compete with the big publicly traded companies, you know, that have tentacles down like Arizona Republic and things like that. So we're the large local guy, and we've been able to grow over many years to now reach more niches with print publications than any other company in Arizona. And we've done that by mixing not only print strategy along with digital. Print's had to evolve. Print's not dead. Your daily newspaper that's printing national or world news from yesterday, that's dead. But community news is actually been surging, and there's more local publications like the ones that we have, such as North Valley Magazine, Love and Life After 50, and the Foothills Focus that's been around. We actually added that and acquired that publication about 6 months ago, and are expanding our distribution in the Cave Creek Carefree area come October 7th. So keep an eye out for the Foothills Focus. It's expanding, it's surging in this market, which which there's not a lot of publications that are printing right now, and we have maintained and we are actually expanding in this market. And I think it's a testament to how we do business, the power of community news, the power of propping up other people, being part of that community fabric like the Chamber is, where you are talking about people who are making a difference in the community. And it's very important, especially during times like we've had in the last 6 months, to continue to deliver that messaging. And so we do the print advertising, we do digital, we do things like email marketing, digital targeting and retargeting as well, like anybody else on this panel can help you with, as well as that. But my unique thing and my approach, and why, if someone's interested in working with me, I'm looking for people who, and business owners that I work with, that really want to get into the emotions of advertising, because everybody talks to, everybody talks about strategy, and strategy is so important. Having a plan is important. But when it comes down to it, your message and what you're saying to people is really a big component of that. So now, once you know who you target and once you know who your target audience is, then what you say to them is paramount. And that shows a big difference between reaching them and actually connecting with them. And so I enjoy working with people to help them find out how they want to talk to their ideal customers or their current customers to get more business, and really tap into the emotions of marketing and advertising. We make about all of our decisions for personal and professional lives at about 15 different emotions, and these actually happen in our subconscious mind. And that's why, you see yourself in a fast food line where you're like, I don't even like fast food, but all of a sudden you saw a McDonald's billboard and it did something to you, and you don't even realize a lot of times that that's what caused you to be in the drive-through line, for example. But there's emotions like hunger and love and family, and the best brands tap into these. And that's why you see simple ads and you're like, well, what does a caveman have to do with car insurance? It doesn't, but it's tapping into an emotion for you, and it's memorable. And when you have that top of mind marketing and you're memorable and your brand's there, that's how you win down the line.
Well, thank you. Again, I just really appreciate you guys making the time today. Thank you, Ben with BPeterson Design. Thank you, Steve Woods from Tech for Life, and David Murphy from Nvent Marketing, and Eric Toohey with Times Media Group. So thank you guys for being with us today. And then before
can I burden you with one more thing? Because we our team put together something just for this, because we wanted to do something special for the Chamber.
Oh.
So we put out, if you go to chambermembersonly.com, we put a special out there that's a complete website analysis. Analyze the health of your website, and then the search engine part of your website, and then a competitive analysis shows how your competitors match up with that. Normally we do that for $2.99. We're taking $100 off of that through the end of the month, just for people that are involved with the Chamber. So it's $1.99, and you get a full report. If you go there, go to chambermembersonly.com, and it'll explain it. I don't need to explain it here. Go ahead and visit that and take a look at it, and you can actually pay for it there. And if you do that before the end of the month, you get the $100 discount.
That's amazing. Thank you. It's a good start for people.
Glad to help.
It's a good start for people who want to get serious about their digital marketing. So thank you, Steve.
It's a good start.
So I want to, we have a very short amount of time, but I want to call on the folks that we haven't seen speak today. So David Alsever, are you still with us?
Yes, I am. I can't see me anymore. My face is gone, but I'm still here.
So tell us what you've, a quick 30-second commercial.
I'm thecowboylender.com. Been missing the Chamber breakfast and the after hours, so looking forward to getting those started up again. Mortgage rates are still low. You're going to start seeing some climb with what they call the adverse marketing, what's called adverse marketing cost. So they say that because of the economic factors going on, doing mortgages is a higher risk. So you will see some small climb in interest rates starting October 1st, but they're still going to be low. When you can still say 3%, it's not a bad thing. So just making it through. Definitely have cabin fever. But, I do mask and social distance, and I have been meeting some clients. So if anybody has any questions, just go to thecowboylender.com or give me a holler at 480-241-9195.
Thank you, Dave. Aaron Stowe, are you still with us?
Oh, yep, I'm here. Sorry, I just tried to start my video. I don't know if it kicked on. There we go. Hello, everybody. Hi, I'm Aaron with Home Instead Senior Care. So we help people age in place, stay in their own homes if that's where they want to be, as long as it's safe and effective for them to do that. So we do that. We provide peace of mind to families, sometimes out of state, who have parents that live locally here in the Valley. So we actually Home Instead covers the entire Valley, but my office focuses on the North Valley, so Northeast Maricopa County. So that's what we do. Any questions, please give me a call. Let me know. See how we can help you out.
Thank you, Aaron. Angelica?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. My name's Angelica. Actually, I don't own a business. I'm actually with Maricopa County Department of Public Health. We have a new role, so I'm a public health liaison for the Northeast region. So that includes Fountain Hills, Cave Creek, Carefree. So I just kind of wanted to sit in and listen in to see about your businesses and what's going on. And we're just kind of looking to see how we can assist or help relay information around COVID or other resources. So, you know, just kind of being an advocate for you guys. So I just wanted to kind of get to know everybody and see how we can work together possibly in the future.
Welcome. If you could email chamber@carefreecavecreek.org with your contact info, that would be great. And I would like to talk with you more later.
Perfect, will do, thank you.
You're welcome. So Sandy Hess, are you still with us?
She just jumped off the call.
Yeah,
She
she
just-
just left.
She
just
okay.
left.
Okay, who else do we have here? Janae Peterson, I know you've been on the call with us.
She had to go take the kids to school.
Jen Miles.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
Janae.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm playing mom. So if I get pulled over, y'all can witness it. So that's fun. But I'm with BPeterson Design, and Ben is one of the panelists on here. So thank you, Patty, for reaching out and allowing us to do that. That was really cool.
I think we lost her. All right, so Jen Miles, now back to you.
No worries. That was more fun watching her drive. Boy, there's no action here right now. I get to have lots of fun with social media and email marketing for you. But as Steve said, check out Chamber members only. It's a good start to check out how your business is going. Take a look at how your website is performing. But we do it all. We'd love to talk with you guys. So have a great day.
Thank you, Jen. John McCombs.
Hi, Patty, and hi, Carefree Chamber. John McCombs, AZ Perfect Comfort, Commercial Residential Air Conditioning and Heating. Starting October 1st through November 16th, Train's doing their fall promotion. Rebates up to $600. So those of you who have an old system that you've been hoping, praying, and wishing to get through the summer, now's a good time to save yourself some money. AZ Perfect Comfort, find the comfort you've been missing.
Thank you, John. Nisa, are you out there?
I am. Thank you so much for such an informative morning this morning. And I have to say a shout out to Jen and her team. I actually had them over a couple of months ago, and they are an absolutely fabulous organization, and I can't thank them enough. And I'm actually going to take you up on the upcoming special that you have. So Nisa with Morrison Associates, and we are your travel experts, and we're really here for all of your family needs, corporate needs, nonprofit, as well as athletic organizations. Our services are completely complimentary, and we're really here to fit any budget. So our goal is to negotiate the best pricing and concessions to save you and your organization money, as well as utilize our experience in the industry to save you time. Solutions for exceptional travel.
Thank you, Nisa. Lisa Stein, are you still there? I think Lisa dropped off. Okay. So again, thanks everybody for participating this morning. Have a great Thursday. Please pay attention to Facebook Live. We're going to have a lot of really cool events coming up, like creating that great video honoring our winners for Celebration of Excellence, getting back to a little bit of a hybrid situation for our future events, mixers, small groups, that sort of thing, for in person as well as Zoom. So again, Facebook, website, e-blast, please read your e-newsletters and whatnot, because there's a lot of great information there. So have a great Thursday, everybody. Thanks for joining.